This bad boy rolling. Good morning. Welcome to our October Tech Bite. Basically Halloween, the leaves are falling. I hope everybody's having a good fall here. We're continuing today our series we got going on some of the new stuff in the management, right? We looked at the AI Copilot, which was really cool. We looked at the policy auditor, or sorry, policy insights, which was also a pretty good one. So those are the last two tech bites. If you did not catch those, I would highly recommend checking them out. And so now we're going to talk about another one that's long overdue because this has been out a little while, is Playblocks. So get that out of the way. So I'm going to run through a quick slide deck. I don't think it'll take 10 minutes, and then we'll do a quick demo after that. So without further ado, let's get this started. There we go. So what is a play block, right? Um, Play blocks extend your threat prevention by creating automatic actions, and they can be done through a collaboration of different products. So as you see on this little slide here, an event happens, it is detected, and it responds on the compromised asset, and this gives you prevention across the entire network. This extends your threat prevention collaboratively because not only does it work with Checkpoint, but it also works with third-party products. A lot of animation on this one. So it's automated, right? It's collaborative. Essentially, when an enforcement point identifies a potential security threat, it triggers a preventative action, and it happens across the entire security infrastructure, and it can trigger alerts to security teams. So you see in this example, any one of these guys on the left, your email or your endpoint or your firewall, they detect a situation that you specified, and they go ahead and they send it to these other services, right? Jira or Slack or Teams. It's been a little over a year for Infinity Playblocks. We've grown quite a bit. We continually add what we call the playbooks, which are the actual actions. I'll show you in a moment. So we have over 100. I think it's like 120 or something like that now. We're constantly adding new integrations, right? We integrate with, uh, you know, identity providers like Okta and Microsoft, and then we also do, you even integrate with some competitor products like Windows Defender and CrowdStrike and things like that. Um, so we're constantly making new integrations, customization capabilities, right? The visibility, the increased efficiency, and growing active users, right? We're growing the number of users of Playblocks, which is important because you're going to see there's kind of a community effort with it as well, right? We can use playbooks that people create to, we can share them out to others, right? Um, So you're going to see this in a minute, and I don't know, I really need to dwell on this page, but over 100 out of the box playbooks. You see some of the ones here, right, that are kind of like some of the stuff you'd be seeing, and for example, like we see this quarantine potentially infected harmony endpoint device and enforce it by the gateway or isolate uh, with the endpoint or whatever, right? So couple of examples of a use of play blocks. These are actual real world examples. Um, there was a company, there was an attacker that was identified on a single gateway in one spot in their environment. But because they had play blocks on and they selected the playbook that would apply to this, immediately it blocked that attacker's IP across all gateways around the globe, right? So that attacker couldn't sit there banging on their other gateways, right? And so multiple attempts to access different parts of the organization were prevented immediately and automatically, right? Another one, Microsoft Defender detected a threat, right? But that endpoint engine couldn't prevent additional machines from getting attacked, right? It can only detect it and not actually prevent it. So they had a playbook in place that said if Microsoft Defender detects a threat, then it's going to automatically isolate that machine on the network. And what that did was it prevented that from worming through their environment and infecting additional devices. The lateral movement was prevented, right? Um, it's coordinated threat prevention through collaboration, right? So it detects on endpoint alerts, contains the compromised asset. It can alert to the SOC, to an SMS, to Jira, ServiceNow, and it could be tailored, right? So you can adapt these automations to your unique needs. You can change them. You can make copies and make additional actions, right? Which drives your operational efficiency, right? Because it focuses your team on the critical security threats. And it empowers your team by delivering an actual actionable insight and a workflow. You can customize, again, you can customize existing automations. You can create new ones from scratch, save them, share them, reuse them across your teams. So you see, that's the language. We're going to see it in a second, but that's like the language. It's pretty easy to write it. And if you don't really, if it's hard for you to use that language, we got great news. The AI Copilot can be used to help you write it. It will actually help write the automation for you from scratch, which is really, really cool. And then lastly, we saw this slide last time. Again, there's new packages for the firewall side of the management. Important to understand that Playblocks can be licensed with different products, right? If you have endpoint, there's a package or an add-on to get Playblocks. If there's email, Harmony email, that's a different one, right? But from the firewall side, just want to put this up here, right? The new freemium or complete packages, and you can see the differences here. Those are the ones that have Playblocks. And with that, we're finished with our presentation, or at least our PowerPoint, I should say. Okay, so, yep, we're still good. Perfect. Okay, so, oh, and I'll pause 1 second for questions. I'm going to look in the chat. I don't see any currently, which is just fine. Okay, so, oh, wait a minute. Got one in the chat. Did you just drink milk? I got no. Why am I getting a little gray in the old mustache? Looks like a milk mustache.
No, I saw you drink from a jug. It looks like a milk jug. So
No, it's my iced tea. I'm in for those of us, most of my customer base is in North Jersey or in New York. So for those of us in the tri-state area, Wawa iced tea, baby. You could tell I'm in central or southern Jersey.
got it, got it.
In my younger days, maybe I could have taken down a quart of milk, but I don't think that would be good now. Excellent question.
Thank you.
Um, okay, so here is the Checkpoint Infinity Portal. I'm sure you're familiar with this if you watched any of these other tech bites or you have a product in here. Today, we are dealing with Playblocks here on the left. Now, it's important to know customers who have on-prem firewalls, big part of our customer base, you also can leverage Playblocks. It's right there in Smart Console. I could actually drag it up if you want, but it's right there in Smart Console on the integrations tab there. And you simply start it up. There's a few clicks, and it's going to fire it up here in the portal for you to manage, but it will be hooked up to your internal infrastructure, and you'll be set. So here's our overview of Infinity Playblocks. Couple things I'll point out on this page. A, the connectors, right? So you can see this environment's connected to quite a few different products, right? ServiceNow, Slack, Jira, CrowdStrike, uh, email, Teams, right? The checkpoint firewalls, the Harmony endpoint, quite a few different things in here, right? On Entra, it isn't connected to a couple of these guys. Just we didn't have it for whatever reason. Um, the thing I'll show over here too is this is your quick view at the automations, right? So there are 35 active ones that we're going to see in the next page that are currently protecting this environment, right? They're currently running. There's another 64 that are applicable, so they tie into one of these products we got over here or multiple products over here. There's 64 more that could be enabled, but they are not currently. If you wanted to click this little link here, it would take you right there and show you. And then what's cool here, I really like this, is Checkpoint's making new ones all the time. Um, this right here is your new automations, and if you click it, it'll right away take you to all the ones that are new, right? And in this environment, it looks like we got two that were created by local users, right? Users that are inside this tenant who created one. It looks like they actually just copied an existing one, right? But you can see right here. And then these two were created by Checkpoint, right? I like this one, notify on failed Gaia portal login, right? So for example, this one will notify you if someone tries to log into the Gaia portal, which could be an indicator of someone trying to attack that, right? Um, you can see a little bit more information here on the overview about what's been prevented and what we've seen in the last 7 days, right? This is 7 days. You can change this time frame, as well as blocked IP addresses in that time. So here's the bulk of the product, right? The automations. And you can see here, we have 109 that are in here, right? In this environment, based on what it's attached to, 99 are applicable. So there's probably some that apply to like Sentinel-1. And as you saw, we don't have Sentinel-1 attached to this environment. Easiest way to go through it, you could do it a couple different ways, but one of the ways you could do is if you want to find a product and find the uh, automations that are associated with that, you could actually click on any one of these on the right, and you can see, like, so for example, we'll see the ones that are for Harmony SASE. So you see there's 4 here for SASE, right? So it'll notify on firewall traffic that's blocked by SASE if you turn this one on. It can notify URL filtering blocked by SASE. It can notify a URL reputation identification, right? So it allowed them to go to a website, but it says, hey, this is kind of a low reputation or poor reputation website. And this one's actually turned on. You can see with the green little thing to the side. Notify on malicious file detection, right? So it'll send an immediate notification when a malicious file is detected by SASE threat prevention. So that's like an example of what's in SASE. Let's dig into one of these. And I had a good one I thought was good to take a look at that I think will be. So let's look at this one, right? So block attacking. This is the one I want. So here's one, right, that essentially what this automation does, it blocks attackers across the whole organization that are flagged as malicious by the IP reputation services, right? And it's triggered by attacks that are detected by the IPS. So essentially, if your firewall sees an IPS event and it determines that this is a malicious attacker, it's going to block that IP explicitly across all the firewalls in the organization, right? So that's a pretty good one to have. And this is how the automation works, like the logic flow, right? Um, so as you see, an attack from a malicious IP is identified by IPS, and enriches the IP, and then the condition, right? And we could set this multiple ways. Can it block? Will it require an admin approval to block? If no, if we're going to do the automation and you click this little box right here on the right, I can't in this demo environment, but you can click this little box on the right over here if you want the admin's approval to be required. But if it's not required, boom, it just blocks that attack IP automatically and you're good to go. If you do want the admin to approve, then you go to this flow, right? Um, and if you click on any of this, whoops, click too many times. If you click on any of this, it'll show you the actual rules language, right? The name of the rule, the duration of the rule, why will it block, right? The IPS was identified, attack from malicious IP, and you can copy and then modify all this language, right? Or you could have the Copilot help you to run it. One of the things I like is that you can first you have to enable the rule up here on the right. If you don't enable it, it won't actually work. But I like how you can run a test. So you can run a test and see, hey, let's make a fake IPS event and see what it does, right? So I do like that feature as well, that you can kind of see how it would work before you go ahead and enable it. But yeah, that's it. It's all written in this language. You can see the example output, right? So this is like the language if there was a failure, right? And you'll see that. And then here's a successful one as well, right? And you can play with that if you wish, but right out of the box, you see you have this automation, right? I'll show you another one that I think is cool. Um, let's try quarantine. And as you can see, as you type, it starts searching, which is nice, right? So um, let's grab let's grab this one, which is not even on, right? So quarantine potentially infected Sentinel-1 device. So what this automation does is it blocks outgoing traffic from devices that have an infection that is detected by Sentinel-1. So if this environment was connected to Sentinel-1, it would be plugged into the Sentinel-1. As soon as the Sentinel-1 sees an infected device, right, it would use the firewalls to quarantine this device and not allow it to uh, send out outgoing traffic, right? Which could also actually interfere in the attack chain as well, right? But certainly would prevent it from worming and infecting additional devices, right? So that's really cool, right? And that's Sentinel-1. It's not even us, right? So if Sentinel-1 detects something, if you have it in automatic mode like this, it'll quarantine the device and send you a notification, right? Um, so that's really cool stuff, you know. And you can see there's a whole list of powerful stuff here. So like, let's look at like Okta. There's another one, right? Here's an identity provider. Again, not our product, but oh, and this one's really cool. So this one, if you have our ERM, our external risk management, what this automation will do is if it finds your credentials, like credentials of one of your users in our big data lake in ERM, it will actually uh, it could actually alert you, right? Is what this one does. It'll send an alert to the admin, hey, such and such user, their credentials was found on the dark web. Or this one's even cooler. It can automatically force them to reset, right? If it finds that. This one does it the automatic, I should say, over here, right? It'll force them to reset their password once it finds it. Um, which is really, I think, just like so awesome that it can integrate these products and these external products and help you with that sort of thing, and give you real-time prevention in these other products, you know, which is great. No, I'm running a little short on time, so I just want to show you really quick the other couple tabs here. So left-hand side, the executions. This is your list of executions of a playbook, right? We call each one of those pieces, each one of those automations is called a playbook. And we can see in this environment, a lot of different stuff happened. So for example, this one, right? So there was a call to quarantine an internal IP, right? And here's, you can look at the parameters, right? Um, and you can see right here the steps were all successful, right? So it sent the request to quarantine it. It then added it to the quarantine list. It notified the admin and then finished. Right. So that's how you're going to see these, and you're going to know they were successful. If it was not successful, this status would say incomplete or failed or whatever. Right. Um, the pending actions. So if there's one that's currently running, you can be able to see them here. Lists. These are those lists of um, sources, right? So if we isolated the device with one of those playbooks we looked at a few minutes ago, it would go into this list, and you could actually open the list and see it. And if you said, hey, I want to go ahead and let this guy out, I could let him out, right? Um, you simply delete him from the list. Also, allowed sources. So, for example, I could see where something like a Tenable Nessus that's scanning your environment could set these things off, right? Because it's constantly poking and prodding from the outside. Um, you could add them to here to allow them, so the playbook won't trigger on those, right? Which is really, I think, really nice, right? And then the connectors themselves. Here's how we integrate with these other products, right? So if you have one of these guys, you want to hook it up with Windows Microsoft Defender, you click on Defender, and it gives you the steps, right? You got to log into your Microsoft account. You're going to allow the required permissions, and you're going to enjoy the power of the automations that are available, right? So you literally click here, it's going to hook its API in. Uh, Very similar process to our Harmony email if you've ever done that one. Just a couple clicks. Same thing here, right? So if we for our notification portions of these playbooks. How do you want to do it? How do you want to get notified? You hook in these systems. As you see, they've already hooked in Teams, Slack, and email, right? So I guess we'll look at SMS. You can create an SMS distribution group. So you literally make a group name and put phone numbers in, and it's that straightforward. Uh, you see, they got all these other products that are already integrated into this environment. So I know I kind of rushed through this. I do think that Playblocks is a really cool addition, and especially if you have multiple products that fit that are in this product. If you have the Okta, the Entra ID, the ServiceNow, the Jira, the Checkpoint firewalls, the Sentinel One or CrowdStrike, right? When you start looking at all those guys, all those different products, um, really you can augment them and make them all work together, right? Which is what we've been looking for in security for a long time, right? The products to kind of inform each other and work together and make each other better, right? So I think that's cool. And I don't know if you guys have been watching the Checkpoint language, but we talk a lot about the open garden. Checkpoint talks about the open garden, which this is a great example of that, right? Where we're over here integrating with some of these other companies that are really our competitors, but we're working with them, they're working with us, and we're able to improve the experience that you have with both products, right? And thereby improve your security posture, right? So I know I've said a lot. I know I whipped through some of this a little too fast, but I did want to kind of keep on our time limit here. Um, with 2 minutes left, any questions? I'm going to go ahead and pop the chat open. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to sit here a couple more minutes. So if any come up, that'd be great. I'll be happy to answer those. For everybody else, feel free to go ahead and move on. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time and joining us today. So thank you very much.